everybody. Welcome back to Gaming the System, the podcast where a couple of intersectional feminists examine gaming through a feminist lens. Today, we are back for episode 8 of, I think it's called He Shall Provide, the Last of Us TV show, the paedophile cannibal episode, for anyone who hasn't watched.
Is it When We Are in Need, I think.
When We Are in Need, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think this might be my favourite episode of the season.
I thought you'd like it.
Not just
It was when we were watching it, we were saying like, "Oh, Matt's gonna enjoy this one."
I love the guy who played David. I think David is such a fascinating character, and they only made him more fascinating and horrible in the show. And they captured when I see him in the game, he just looked ill. He looks pale and drawn, and he just looks sick, like there's something wrong with him. And they captured that perfectly with this guy. Nolan North played him in the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I have never cared for Nolan North particularly. I thought he was very bland. But then suddenly realising that he played David and is such a horrifying character, so I have a lot of respect for him now. And Troy Baker, the guy who plays Joel, plays. Did you recognise him as David's right-hand man?
Who does he play?
He plays the one that gets the cleaver in the neck.
Yeah. No, I didn't recognise him at all. I didn't recognise anyone in. But that's pretty standard for me. Everything's exciting because I don't remember anything.
I think David is the first real monster that we've seen in the TV show, because I think he's a predator. He is when you're saying he's surrounded by sheep, he's the wolf with all these sheep. And the fact that it's so unsettling the way that he looks at Ellie. And I think because this is the second episode where she is on her own without Joel, and Joel knows people like him. Joel would be able to protect her, but David is a predator who knows how to control people. What was your impression of David and those, like, the opening interactions between them?
As soon as he saw her, you could see him breathe a sigh of relief, actually, and he was like, I've got this. And he very much seemed to be 100% in control, even when he was appearing to agree to her requests or demands. I mean, I didn't trust him because I'm a cynic, and I'm generally suspicious of any sort of older men that like behave in that way around young women. So for me, it kind of, but that's exactly it. I mean, whatever they did however he acted, the it it set my spider sense off, so it was obviously spot on, because there was something in me that was going, this guy is not to be trusted, this guy is dodge. And not only that, but he's really dangerous. And up to the point that that he and Ellie met, we hadn't seen really anything. Yeah, I mean, he'd been reading like the Bible and trying to support his community. So there was no reason for us to suspect him. But
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, that just from just the look of him, from the like the into like they're like normal interactions that people have had throughout the series of that person wants to kill us. We're going to talk to this person. We're going to fight this person. We're going to run from this. David is a very because he's a master predator.
mm,
He knows, and predators have a sixth sense of going. They know exactly who they can manipulate, and
mm,
so the second you're right, the second he turns around, because then he's pointing the gun at them, and he turns around and sees her and goes straight away. He sees right into her and goes,
mm,
aha. And then the first half of the episode is him, well, all of it actually. He's trying to the find the strategy to take to get Ellie on board.
yeah.
Uh,
And when we find out what that on board means, that's just horrendous. But I'm sure we'll come to that.
yeah, and so yeah, so we'll go up to when it always really interested me that um, David actually makes, I think his name's Sam. Sam actually get penicillin, because
Mm,
that's the first time we go like, normally everyone's just killing each other to try and get something, to try and get
mm,
resources, whereas David wants Ellie, and you can't. He knows that he can't just capture her and
mm,
force her to do something. That's not how he works. He wants her to be his queen in this horrible commune. Um, and then yeah, then so he's so chilled out and relaxed at all times, which is just unsettling. It's like a spider just sat there.
yeah.
Um, and now the bit I imagine you looked at Daniel and said, I bet Matt liked this bit, is when Joel is sort of just being a Terminator and killing his way through those men. Um,
Mm,
I think I've said before that Joel, in the game at least, he's arguably the biggest monster in the world.
mm,
Um, and if not, at any rate, because of what we know he's done,
mm,
you can definitely classify him as a monster. David is a completely different kind of monster.
yeah.
Um, when I think it's really interesting when Ellie puts the knife in Joel's hand and says, "What does she say? If anybody makes it down here, you fucking kill them." And that, I think, unlocked that monster in Joel, because
Mm,
I think for the entire series, he has been holding that part of himself back because he doesn't want Ellie to see him like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't want Ellie to see him as that monster. But I think it sets up for what happens in. Have you seen the final episode?
No, not
Okay.
yet.
So yeah, well, if so, in the game, you know what happens in the game. So it sets up for that kind of scenario when Ellie gives him permission to whatever it takes, bring that monster out, and it's okay because
Yeah.
I need you. I need you to do this for me. And
Mm.
Joel just it's quite horrifying what he does with especially with the first guy, just stabbing him in
Mm.
the neck and then holding him there. And
Yeah, that was right out of the game, wasn't it? I mean, because that's well, it's certainly what I've spent most of my time doing in the second game. But yeah, that was right out of the game, the way that they sneak and grab them and but normally it's infected and yeah, they didn't spare anything. That scene, it was very deep, very gra- not gratuitous, graphic. It was very graphic.
yeah, and I like that Joel just looked like someone who was just really hungover and just didn't want to deal with people.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I've got to fucking just," and he doesn't bother torturing the second guy because he's probably too exhausted to. Um,
I
oh,
mean, he genuinely did look really rough. He looked like he was, that he was ill, but he found like this energy because he had to go and get Ellie. Um, I Yeah, no, I thought it was really good that we got to see that side of Joel, and I knew that, yeah, as you say, it was that scene. I was like, "Oh, Matt will be pleased," but because as you say, it did show us what Joel's capable of, and up until now, we haven't really seen that level of violence that he's being driven to by this crappy world that they exist in, which I think was a real sort of like um contrast to the way that David was. So David is like clean shaven, short hair. Was he clean shaven? Anyway, he had short hair and smart, like neatly shaven. Yeah, he's neat. Um, but and he's got short hair, and all of the guys that he has with him when he goes to get
mm,
um Joel and Ellie are all like, shaggy haired
scraggly,
and
yeah.
beardy and straggly. And he's like this smart, he's like holding it all together. And yet, as you say, he's the biggest monster in the game, really, because not only is he, presiding over this group, and we see when one of the younger girls in the group who sort of says to him,
Mm,
that he should kill Ellie and just kill them because they it was her father that had stabbed Joel and then got in the previous episode. Um, and then he just walks over to her and he just whacks her like really hard. And she falls off the chair and onto the floor. And you just see in that moment, and not only that, but then he proceeds to sit down at the table with her. And her mother, I assume it's her mother gets up and leaves to go and get him food, but she leaves her daughter with this man. The whole um control, coercive control that's going on there, the power dynamic, everything was there in every little movement in so many different ways. It was being reinforced and played out. And I just thought, it was really interesting. So then you've got Joel, who's this like beast going around, like, just killing everyone. And but at the same time looking very much worse for wear. And what's really interesting is that they don't come into contact with each other, these two men.
But yeah, that's a
These
wow. Hmm. Yeah, that's that's so much stuff that I hadn't sort of that hadn't really clicked with me. Is yeah, David looks just composed and shaven, and he looks like just a normal person, not a normal person. Just you could walk past him in the street and not look twice at him.
mm,
Everyone else looks really skinny and
yeah,
scraggly and scared, and that's what cult leader people cult leaders, that's the sort of people that they surround themselves with, and
mm,
for them to have that power, it takes crushing people.
yeah,
And I think what something that is very there's lots of kinds of violence, right? And one of my problems is that Joel hasn't done anything to make to be unredeemable, irredeemable.
mm,
Like you can
mm,
see him do it and go, "Oh, I still like him." If you backhand a child onto the floor, there is absolutely nothing in the universe that can undo that. That
no,
can, and that just shows you that the anyone can punch someone, anyone can shoot someone, anyone can wrestle with someone and kill them. It takes a real proper right down there horrifying monstrosity to be able to do that
yeah,
to a
yeah,
child. So that's just like alarm bells ring, 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 ring. And so when it comes to the paedophile stuff
mm,
in the game, it was only the second time I played it that I caught onto that. Because when he
mm,
goes, I think it literally says if you come around and he puts his hand on hers and you go, oh, because that's what she does. Is she go,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
Oh,
oh.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was really good actually when she said that. The realization, oh, that's what it's going on here.
And I
I
think
feel sorry for Ellie having to go through that.
I think uh, Ellie is so strong and aggressive and independent, and you can tell like she's so aggressive all the way through. But they pointed out in the podcast, she's that gun is way too big for her, and so she can sort of she knows how to be angry and aggressive and violent and fight for things.
Mm,
But David is the kind of predator who knows how to exploit that because he knows I
yeah,
don't need to overpower her. I just need to talk her into it.
yeah,
And he just keeps on. He's got the exact same tone of voice. He talks the exact same tone of voice all the way through, no matter what is happening. Even after he
mm,
backhands the
mm,
child, it's always the exact same tone all the way through. And Ellie's just really, she knows that something's wrong,
mm,
and so she's reacting how she would react to someone like endangering her. And then that hand touch is when she goes, because she's probably never experienced anything like that before.
no,
And oh, yeah, and she, and then, but then that's the breaking point when she breaks his finger. That was you going. She still doesn't get it in that she she wants to fight her way out of everything. That's her instinct.
Mm, mm.
And then when he calls her a little c word, that's when the facade that he has up the entire
Yeah.
episode comes down.
Mm,
And
yeah. That was where he got angry. But but then when they drag her out of the cage and they put her on that chopping block and
mm,
you just think, oh my gosh. And yeah, and he slams the thing down, the cleaver down, and it just right by her head. That was so scary. And she was really scared. She just felt like she was really scared. Like she was like, oh shit. I'm kind of like maybe bitten off more than I can chew here. But then in like a second, she's like, oh, and like she's cleavered the other guy in the neck. And the way that David just leaves him,
yeah, it just goes.
there's no, yeah, there was no um sentimentality there. He's just driven. And that last scene in the sort of bar area, the where they all eat, um I remembered that from the game. Very vividly remembered running around and dying about a million times in that last in that room. Um, I remembered the fire and everything. So I think, it was really interesting how that all came together. I was wondering where everyone else was in that last and when she runs out and Joel's there, and I just was like, well, where is everyone else? There's like a whole town here. So yeah, I don't know. That seemed a little bit odd, like that no one else came to. I mean, I know most of the like men had probably been, or the fighting men had probably been killed by this point because they most of them had gone to get Joel. Um, but even so, there was a whole heap of people in that town. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's we can give them that little bit of wiggle room because there, yeah, there's the him being completely catatonic and then one squirt of penicillin and he's up in
Yeah, and he's up.
murdering form, and then him just, yeah, her walking directly into him outside. That's fine. We heard it. We've had
That was
enough.
lovely though. That scene was really nice when she saw him, and just that he just was like, "It's okay, I'm here, I'm here." And yeah, she was so shocked and traumatized by what had happened, and that again was really clear. Again, awesome actress, she's just playing it so well. I wish so much good stuff for her, and I no doubt that it's going to come. But yeah, and yeah, and she would be traumatized. It was a very traumatic experience, and she went through it on her own. And yeah, but at least Joe was there in the end.
Yeah, I think because that the explicit when he's reaching down to undo his pants, that isn't in the game. It's not,
Mm,
that doesn't happen. The only paedophile
no,
sense we get is when he puts his hand on her, and then
yeah,
that's as far as Ellie experiences it. It's just going, oh, that's what he wants to do. But then having
mm,
him actually being about to do it, that's a
mm,
completely different universe of trauma because
yeah,
he's literally sees it about to happen rather than
mm,
thinking about it, just going, oh yeah, that's what he wants.
mm,
And that moment was just, abject horror as, and it really reflected what David said about he found his way when the world burned, and
Yeah,
now this
that was
one,
chilling,
yeah,
that
it's
that
burning
whole
around us, and I'm going to do this to you.
mm,
And then I think the most, another extremely important seed for going forward, the way she kills him, that was
mm,
horrifying. And you can see on her
yeah.
face thinking, and when she's talking to Joel afterwards, she says that was about to. She could just that
Mm,
real like
yeah,
you can only get when you were just about to, something just almost happens.
yeah.
And, and I'd be interested to see how she tells, if she tells Joel about him.
Mm. Based on how it's gone, though, I don't imagine that they're going to. They seem to leave like so many of these little stories, like
Mm,
just get left, and then we move on to the next adventure.
yeah. Three
And
months later.
yeah, oh well, moving on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the last one. I need to be in the right space for it. So yeah.
Cool. I think is there anything else we need to cover? I think.
No, I thought it was yeah, I thought it was a very good episode, and I think that it was very violent, but I didn't feel that it was gratuitous. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, again, the seed of that's what happens when Ellie is scared and angry. She
yeah.
explodes in extreme violence.
Mm,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what she
mm.
does going forward. Um, Everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Gaming System. This has been Matt and Jem, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.